Cary is the third safest city in America, the second best place to live, and #1 for raising a family.
According to Zillow, Holly Springs is the third most popular zip code in North Carolina. It is the second safest town in North Carolina, and Fujifilm Diosynth is building the largest cell culture facility in North America right down the road.
In today's video, we're comparing these two towns to tell you which one is going to give you the most bang for your housing buck.
And to be honest, it's going to take a few bucks.
The median home price for active homes in Cary is $750,000.
For active listings in Holly Springs right now is $737,000.
Which one is better? We've actually lived in both of those towns now, so we've definitely got the inside scoop.
We've decided to each champion one of the towns.
All right.
Pick your poison.
Holly Springs. Good, I like winning. Today we're comparing parks, greenways, shopping, crime, traffic, convenience, the arts, and events. And stick around for a discussion about housing at the end of the video, because what you can get for housing in Holly Springs is so much different than what you can get for housing in Cary. And to be honest, it's really not a competition, because you might not even like either one of these towns. Cary and Holly Springs are both very different, and this is what I really love about the Triangle. There are so many different towns and cities, and none of them are the same. Each town and each city has their own personality and culture and flavor, and most people are really drawn to a particular town or city. And so we're just trying to help you get to know each one so that you can understand which might be the best fit for you. When we did this video 3 years ago, Holly Springs only had 35,000 people, and now it has 50,000. So it has drastically grown over the last 3 years. We've gained population, we've gained all kinds of cool stuff, and we're going to show you that today.
Gained a new downtown.
Gained a new downtown. Was this not here? Yeah, 3 years ago. This wasn't done yet. And now they're expanding the downtown as well, so it's going to get even bigger.
It's going to get even bigger.
We didn't have Wine 100. We didn't have that ice cream shop. We didn't have Bless Your Heart Boutique or Viennese Risto Bar. We didn't have Smashed Burgers and Cocktails. That's
or
new.
JT's Creamery.
Let's start with parks and greenways. Holly Springs has 340 acres of park. So I'm here at Bass Lake Park. This is one of my favorite places. It's just a couple of minutes from my house, and I can come over here every time I need my duck fix. I love ducks, and there's always ducks on the lake here. It's a 58-acre lake, and it's surrounded by a 2-mile trail, and then it's connected to all the other trails in town. So you can walk to SUG Farm, you can walk to Wble Park, and all of them are interconnected by that trail system. This is SUG Farm, and this is one of the best places to come if you just want to be alone. I just love this place. It was donated to the town by a farm family under the conditions that they wouldn't build any structures on it. So it's going to remain like this forever, just this big open farmland, and it just feels so peaceful here. And it's one of the few places that you can actually go and be alone, which is really hard these days, right? This is where the town has a lot of their festivals and events every year, and it's also connected by the Greenway to lots of different things. You can walk back to Wble Park and the community center, you can walk to Bass Lake, you can walk to downtown, but it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. You can yeah, it's amazing. Cary's gonna have a hard time beating this. So this is Wble Park. It's got pickleball courts, tennis courts, big soccer fields. It's got like horseshoe pits and volleyball courts, and it's totally connected to the Greenway, so you can walk pretty much anywhere in Holly Springs from here. And it's also surrounded by all these neighborhoods that are walkable to the park and to the entire town of Holly Springs. It seems like whenever there's a soccer game going on during soccer season, the entire town is here. It's crazy. The Hunt Center is right across the street, with a fitness center, basketball courts, and an indoor walking track, which is definitely something that Cary does not have. There's no place to walk when the weather's bad, which is nice that we have this here. And this is Ting Park. We've got some incredible pickleball courts and tennis courts and athletic fields. It's home to the Holly Springs Salamanders, which is our local minor league baseball team. And while we're here, this is a great time to talk about the dump, because in the 2 years that I've lived in Holly Springs, I've only ever smelled it once. And the one time that I smelled it is when I was here playing tennis. Okay, it finally happened. People ask me all the time, like, where are the spots in Holly Springs where you can smell the dump? And I'm always like, hey, I live there. I never smell the dump. I go to all kinds of different shops and different places or whatever. It finally happened. We took tennis lessons at Ting Park, and the whole court smelled like dump. It was nasty. And while we're getting this stuff all out in the open, we might as well talk about the power plant. Sharon Harris Power Plant it's about 20 minutes away, so it's not exactly in Holly Springs, but it's kind of nearby. And this is my thoughts on it. If something happens with that power plant, it doesn't matter if you live in Cary or you live in Holly Springs. We're kind of all going down, so we might as well stop with the Homer Simpson jokes.
Huh? Bad noise.
5 minutes before critical mass.
Oh, meltdown. We prefer to call it an unrequested fish in surplus.
Cary has 186,000 people, and the park system really is amazing. I don't think anybody would really disagree with that. Unless, of course, you were born and raised in Raleigh, in which case you've developed a healthy disdain for Cary because it's too manicured, too festooned with public art, and seems like some strange offspring of Stepford and Pleasantville. But pretty much everybody else really likes it. So you want to go for a walk in the woods, head on over to Hemlock Bluffs. And if you missed your Stairmaster exercise in the morning, Hemlock Bluffs has got you taken care of. Now, one of the things about Cary Parks is that, as you saw on that sign, they don't want you going off trail. So the trails are beautiful. Trails are always well maintained, but that's where they want you to stay. Kids need to play with the dragon? Wble Park's got you covered. If you need to organize a sand volleyball tournament, North Cary Park's got you covered, even in the rain. Want to go paddle boating, fishing, walk from one side of Cary to the other, fly a kite or your dog in an open field, or maybe just roll down a hill. Oh, wait a minute, you're not allowed. See a show or production here at the amphitheater, or bring your kids to the playground, or come and hit a ball. All that's waiting for you at Wble Park right in the heart of Cary. Want to see one incredible downtown park with a built-in coffee bar and bark bar and water features and a playground that's the stuff of kids' dreams? Come on to downtown Cary. I don't know how well this comes across on video, but there really isn't anything like this in the Triangle. It really is an amazing park. So I'm here in one of the shelters at Umstead Park. Umstead Park is just on the north side of Cary, and it is almost 5,600 acres of woodlands, trails, creeks, ponds, shelters. If you want to be alone in a park in Cary, Umstead's the place to be. So it looks beautiful and peaceful, but to be perfectly honest, I can hear the traffic from I-40 pretty well right here. I mean, you can maybe imagine that there's a waterfall nearby, and that's what all that noise is. But if you want to get away from the noise, you're going to have to go a lot deeper into the park, which isn't a problem because the trails are well marked, well made, and very easy to travel. The one problem is that on a nice, beautiful day, it's crowded. I mean, the trails are going to be packed, but you can find places to be alone.
Okay, so I forgot about Umstead Park. To get anything like that in Holly Springs, you're gonna have to drive to Umstead, which is about 25 minutes, or you're gonna have to drive to Raven Rock, which is about 45 minutes south. And then while we're talking about parks, let's talk about greenways. I usually say that Cary's the gold standard for greenways in the Triangle, but when I was doing my research, I saw something really interesting. When I compared the miles of greenway per square mile of the town, I found that Holly Springs had more than double the miles of greenway per square mile in the town than Cary had, which is totally crazy. And it really is connected like all the way through. Now let's talk about shopping and restaurants. Holly Springs has almost everything. So we have everything you'd expect to see in a larger, newer, big box store strip mall. So we've got Super Target, Super Walmart, Marshall's, DSW, Kirkland's, Lowe's Home Improvement, Dick's Sporting Goods, all of that kind of stuff. Just about everything you need. You've got all kinds of restaurants down here. You've got Thai, you've got Vietnamese, you've got Italian, you've got this smash burger place that took over my favorite coffee shop, and we're gonna go in and see if their coffee's any good because I think they started serving coffee because everybody was used to getting coffee there. But we haven't tried it yet, so here we go.
I don't. I decommissioned our coffee program.
Really? Apparently they tried to serve coffee, but nobody bought it, so they're not selling coffee there anymore. So apparently you have to go to Fuquay if you want coffee in Holly Springs. Now this is just nuts. I mean, how is it possible that Fuquay has like 8 coffee shops in 2 square miles and they're always packed, and Holly Springs can't keep a coffee shop? I just don't believe that. There's something's got to be off here. Holly Springs has great grocery stores. We've got a Lowe's Foods, we've got Harris Teeter, we've got Super Walmart, Super Target, we've got Aldi's, and I've heard a rumor that Wegmans is actually going to be building their store here in 2024. It's still a rumor, but I think it might be happening.
So pretty much any store that Holly Springs has or might have, Cary has, plus more. Cary has 2 Whole Foods, Holly Springs has none. Cary has 2 Trader Joe's, Holly Springs has none. Wait a minute, Holly Springs doesn't have an office supply store. Another win for Cary. So one of the things that Holly Springs is also missing is clothing stores. Cary has much more upscale shopping, as you would imagine. You're going to find stores like Loft and White House Black Market and Lululemon and Vestique and Free People and Madewell and Faherty's behind me. You're just going to have many more options. There's just nothing like Fenton and Holly Springs, and the restaurant scene is better too. So if you need to be closer to upscale shopping, Cary's simply going to serve you better. Cary has REI and Bass Pro Shops. Cary's just bigger and has more options close by for just about anything that you're going to need, restaurants and coffee shops included. And if breweries are your thing, actually both towns have pretty much got you covered.
Let's talk about crime. Now, there's no crime in Holly Springs, and honestly, both towns are very low crime. They both regularly win accolades for being low crime cities. Something really interesting came up in my research. Holly Springs has a much higher ratio of police officers per capita than Cary does. We've got 75 police officers in Holly Springs, and we've got 198 in Cary. So that means that Holly Springs has one police officer for every 674 residents, and Cary has one officer for every 940 people. I have to say that the police officers in Holly Springs are really nice. They're part of the community. People love them. We love seeing them out directing traffic during carpool every day, and you get to know them because there's not that many of them, and it's a small town.
All right, so to my mind, Cary wins hands down on the convenience front. I mean, it's right in between Raleigh and Durham. And it's right on I-40, so you can get to those places really easily.
I don't know that Cary wins the location hands down. I mean, yes, it's easier being right on I-40 to pop into Raleigh and to pop into Durham, but Holly Springs, I mean, 540 is almost finished, and when that's done, it's going to be much quicker to pop into both of those places. And two, Holly Springs is developing its own economy here, so look at all of this development. This is all biotech. So at some point, this is going to be a place that people come to both live, work, and play. I mean, it is now, but it will continue to develop that, and so you won't need to go anywhere. You're going to go to work here at these companies, you know, and being in Cary is quick to get into RTP, but if you don't need to work in RTP because you're all of these companies that are developing here, then this is perfectly convenient to lots of things.
If she won't concede on the convenience factor, she's going to have to at least concede on the art scene. Cary has a much more robust and developed art scene. Cary is simply bigger, and bigger means more options. You've got Kokobu Theater, which hosts everything from pop concerts to the symphony to the Chinese Lantern Festival. You've got the Downtown Theater, which hosts speakers and screenings of small films, as well as live events. And the Art Center here behind me hosts not only the local Cary players and the town band, but also touring acts and musicians as well. They've got a whole catalog of camps, classes, programs for just about any creative art. If you want to learn how to make or do something, chances are somebody in here is going to teach it to you. Hi. My wife and I have a YouTube channel, and we're making a video just about Cary. Would you mind if I just took B-roll just of the lobby here of just... Oh yeah? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so kind of case in point. Holly Springs, they invite us in, they say, hey, come and look at our theater. In Cary, they say, you have to fill out the forms in triplicate and go get it approved. So there's one of the disadvantages of being bigger. Small town charm gets replaced by bureaucracy. But it does highlight some of the differences between Cary and Holly Springs. Holly Springs, despite its burgeoning growth, is still a small town. It's still got a small town feel to it, but at least I can get coffee in Cary.
Yes, Cary has more, but it's not like Holly Springs is an arts desert or anything. We've got a great cultural arts center. There's plenty of performances and classes here. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be coming here to see a comedy show. There's a jazz band playing that we're going to come see. Now, we don't have things to the scale that Cary has them, but what we do have is parking. So when we come to see a show here, we're going to pull into the parking lot, we're going to park our car, and we're going to walk in and see our show. That's something you can't say about the Cary Arts Center.
I've got to give her that one, and I'm kind of afraid to bring this up because I know what she's going to say, but Cary just has so many more events than Holly Springs does. Here's the current list for annual events. Arbor Day, Arts and Humanities Month, Asia Fest, Cary Dog Days, Daddy-Daughter Dance, Diwali Celebration, Earth Day, Easter events, Fit Cary Month, Heart of the Holidays, Independence Day events, Kwanzaa celebration. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, he knows what I'm going to say. We lived there for 10 years, and the only event we ever went to when my son was in middle school, he played the saxophone and he was in the Cary Christmas Parade. So we went to the Cary Christmas Parade, but that was the only one we ever went to. And the reason we never went to any of these arguably wonderful events was because it just felt to me like sugar had been poured on an anthill. We tried to go to Lazy Days Arts Festival once, and I'm telling you, you had to park like miles away and then be bussed into it, and that's just not my style. I don't like these great big crowded things. I like stuff like this, you know, you can walk to it, everything's kind of just relaxed and laid back. And so to me, yeah, there's lots of events, but there's also so many people that it's kind of hard to really take advantage of them, in my mind. Depending on where you're from, it might not feel like that to you, but that's how it feels to me. Holly Springs has all kinds of great events. Chalk of the Town's really cool, Canine Con. One year they did Harry Potter, you know, like P-A-W Potter, and everybody dressed their dogs up as like Harry Potter characters. And I think this year it's going to be a Star Wars themed thing. So July 5th, the Holly Springs Spooktacular thing that happens at SUG Farm. I mean, there's a lot of really cool events here. Pretty small town, basic, not as much variety in them, but still lots of cool events.
So the elephant in the room is housing.
Yes.
And we started the video with some median active sale prices that seemed really high.
Yes. Recently closed prices are quite a bit lower. We're coming into the spring market, so we'll probably see more of these more moderate prices hit the market. But for Holly Springs, the median closed price is $592,000, and for Cary, it's $575,000. And we'll see more of that type of inventory as spring wears on.
Okay, so what do you get in Holly Springs or Cary for that price?
In Holly Springs, for the median price, you get a home that's built somewhere around 2021, and it's got about 2,900 square feet typically. In Cary, you get a house that's built in 1997 that's somewhere around 2,300 square feet. To me, it seems like you get a much better house in Holly Springs for the median price. It's why we moved here. But I don't want to say that like just because a house is older, that means it's not as desirable. I mean, you know, the 60s had some really cool mid-century type designs that were, and you see a lot of that in Cary. So sometimes you can get that kind of stuff. It tends to sell higher. But like the 90s, there was no exciting architectural inventions going on at that time. Nobody wants a 90s house on purpose. Nothing wrong with them, but there was nothing unique and interesting about them. So I think the inventory around median is just better in Holly Springs around the median price.
What about the luxury market? What about the around $1 million price point?
So I'm still considering just over $1 million the luxury price point in this area. It is definitely starting to creep up, particularly in Cary, but I'm still kind of dealing with anything over 2 is kind of like ultra luxury, and anything under 2 is what I call, you know, kind of 9 to $1 million is luxury. And actually, this looks a lot more similar than the median price. So the inventory around $1 million is a lot more similar than the inventory around $600,000. So in Holly Springs, a home for $1 million is going to also be built around 2020, and it's going to be around 3,900 square feet. In Cary, it's going to be built around 2010, and you know, within 50 square feet of that. It's like 3,850. So 10 years older, but about the same square footage. And so to me, that's a very similar product.
And Cary was building more of those houses earlier than Holly Springs was.
Yes, so there's a lot more inventory. So property in Cary, 12% of homes in Cary are over $1 million. And remember, these are very similar type homes. And in Holly Springs, we only have about 2% of our inventory is over $1 million. So we're just not building the same quantity of housing in that luxury market as we are in Cary. So it's just harder to find here.
The $2 million price point. Holly Springs versus Cary.
Holly Springs doesn't have a single property over $2 million. Zilch, zip.
Holly Springs has a median. It has a luxury price point. It has no ultra luxury. So Cary just has a different tier of housing that Holly Springs doesn't have.
Correct. And they have, you know, so in Holly Springs, our median income is quite a bit higher than Cary. I think it's 109 in Cary, and I think like 127 last time I checked in Holly Springs. So we have a larger population of higher income earners in Holly Springs, percentage-wise, percentage of the population. But Cary has another layer of executive level incomes, you know, people that are executives in companies in RTP. And if you're an executive in a company in RTP, you probably don't want to drive from Holly Springs to RTP. Right. Now, I can see this growing as all of our biopharmaceutical companies grow and multiply here in Holly Springs. So I can see developing this kind of ultra luxury market as we have a little bit more of that CEO level person living here.
But we drove through some of those homes in Cary last week, the ultra luxury. There's nothing like that in Holly Springs.
Correct.
For the architectural style, for the square footage, we just don't have
We just don't. Yeah, like for example, you know, Cary has properties up to 12,000 square feet. I think one home that was 7,000 square foot sold in Holly Springs last year, but for the most part, those houses are around 4,000 square feet. Yeah. They're not, you know, these big multi-generational or, you know, having, you know, housekeeper, nanny suite, that sort of thing. They don't have that kind of inventory here.
And just to be clear, when we're talking about the luxury price point, we're still talking about neighborhood homes.
Not estates,
not
correct.
Estates.
For the most part. You see your occasional acre to 2 acre kind of estate in both places. Rare, but again, you definitely do see them on occasion.
So on the housing front, who wins?
I think for luxury and above, it's Cary.
And for the
median, it's Holly Springs.
It's Holly Springs.
Yeah, that's my thought. If you like this video and you want to see more like this, tell us what it was that you liked the best about this video, and we'll do more of that kind of thing. It's super helpful for us to know what you liked. And YouTube thinks you're going to like, which one? Where am I pointing? YouTube thinks you're going to like this video to watch next, so click it to see if they're right.